from Los Angeles, I'm Jenny Taft. She was Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
That's it. The Lakers are done. You just lost Jared Dudley, and LeBron was devastated last night on Twitter. That poor man just can't get a break.
You know, I thought you were going to say something else. Well, my Cowboys season is over. That's what I thought you were
Well, that's the first topic, right? We're going to spend the next 20 minutes
But you
talking
know
about
that, though, right?
I don't know that.
I just can't believe you mentioned the Lakers. I thought, Skip, you were going to be all in about your Cowboys because we finally had an episode that started with that guy, Jerry Jones. And that is where we begin the show. Last night's Hard Knocks took a good amount of time to focus on Jerry, from his history with the team and a drone tour of the new Star facility to arriving via helicopter to the Cowboys' first home preseason game and getting chants for Jerry from crowds. There was a lot of attention on the team's owner. But here's the question. Shannon, will the Cowboys ever win another Super Bowl with Jerry in charge?
No. No. Skip, again, how did anything that they led up into Hard Knocks, the first 5 minutes, how does that help the Cowboys win a Super Bowl? Now, since they last won the Super Bowl 25 years ago, they've won exactly 4 playoff games, and they haven't advanced to the NFC Championship game. And I can assure you, so is Jerry Jones willing to do more now than he was then? Absolutely not. Jerry's going to do the exact same thing, and the reason why they're not winning a Super Bowl is because he can't stop meddling. Skip, he can't help himself. Skip, Jerry is good. Don't let Jerry fool you. Yeah, sure, he would like to win, but Jerry like adding them zeros. Skip, what was that star about? What was the drone tour? How did it tell me? I just want you to tell me.
The drone tour was amazing footage.
It was amazing.
I was like taken on a ride into the Star that I thought was inconceivable to pull off, and they pulled that off.
Pulled it off.
But they showed you the magnitude of Jerry's kingdom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now tell me how they help you win a championship.
Maybe maybe it helps you recruit free agents. I don't know.
And there's nobody going and say, man, I gotta go play for the Cowboys, man, because you know, but they got this state-of-the-art facility, and they got these high luxury high-rise and all this going on. That ain't how guys ain't thinking about that, Skip. They want to win. Jerry's in the way meddling. He's sitting in on coaches. Really, Skip? So what did you hire Mike McCarthy for? What is all these guys that you hired to do a job? What is their job if you're sitting in there overseeing them, micromanaging them, doing their job? What is that about? Jerry keeps saying, and Jerry convinces his fans, man, you heard what Jerry? Jerry said he'll spend any amount of money. Jerry do anything except stay out of the way. When I was a little boy, Skip, my brother tell you this, my grandfather used to give me $1 a day. You know what he paid me for, Skip?
That was a lot of money.
That was a lot of money. Yeah. But guess what he was paying me for, Skip? To stay out of the way. Because he said, Shannon, you might get hurt. I couldn't do it, Skip. I couldn't get the dollar that he would pay me just to stay out of the way. All Jerry has to do is stay out of the way, Skip, and he can't. He cannot do it. And therein lies the problem. Really, the difference is this management, ownership, and how they do business. You think Mr. Kraft sitting in there looking over Coach Belichick's shoulder? You think Clark Hunt looking over Andy Reid's shoulder? You think Steve Bisciotti, the owner of the Ravens, looking over John Harbaugh's shoulder and Eric DeCosta? Absolutely not. He's like he tell you. Steve will tell you, I hired him to do a job. If I can't trust him to do a job, I need to get somebody else in that position. That's the only problem, Skip. You know it. And it hasn't been the same. They had an opportunity, and yeah, he got a little revisionist history. You know, he started thinking about it. You know, I probably should have put my ego aside and yada, yada, yada when Jimmy was going into the Hall of Fame. Yep. But you and I both know he don't mean that. He's only second-guessing himself because he thought he was going to have a boatload of it. I got 2,500 coaches that can coach this team. And you won 1 Super Bowl. And you had all of those Hall of Famers in their absolute prime, and you only had 1 more Super Bowl to show for it. So, Skip, I don't believe they're going to win a championship. And unfortunately for you, you're going to have to deal with me until they do.
We're just going to win the division. That's all we need. Okay, my turn.
That don't count.
I know Jerry Jones very well. I'll say it again. I spent literally hundreds of hours around him as I wrote my 3 books on the Dallas Cowboys. And yet, as I sat back watching Hard Knocks last night, watching Jerry reign over his kingdom, reign over the most valuable team in all of sports, including all these soccer/football teams all over the world. This is the most valuable
Even the
franchise,
Yankees.
way over the Yankees. Jerry Jones, speaking of the Yankees, has become the most famous owner in the history of sports, and it ain't even close anymore. He has made us forget about George Steinbrenner, who once upon a time reigned over the New York Yankees, or Ted Turner, maybe before your time, reigning
Ted
over Atlanta
with the
because
Braves.
he had his own TV network.
See it? Yep.
Yep. And yet Jerry was basking last night.
Yeah.
This is why he readily accepted, yeah, we'll do Hard Knocks, because he knew he was going to get one big vanity episode. And this was it. This was Jerry in all of his glory. You could see his egomania on display from start to finish.
Yep.
So I was in awe of watching Jerry Jones, but I was also in mourning, because I do agree with your final conclusion. Your takeaway is it's just going to be so difficult for this franchise to overcome him as the still current owner and operator of the Cowboys, as the general manager, hands-on, running the football part of the franchise.
Yep.
And the most shocking and horrifying scene was about a 2-second shot very early in last night's episode 3, in which they flash and pan around the room of a day after preseason game coaches meeting, in which they are evaluating the performances of various players all the way down to the 3rd and 4th stringers.
Right.
And all the coaches are gathered in the big, giant coaches meeting room. And as we pan around the room, I see Jerry Jones sitting right in the middle of the front row of the coaches with his head down taking notes. What are you doing? Seriously? Listen, I did in my second Cowboy book give him credit, some credit that Jimmy despised him getting over the building of that first Super Bowl team, because Jerry was instrumental in pulling off the move of 1992 that put them over the top, and that was the great Charles Haley, acquiring him right out from under a conference rival at that point, the San Francisco 49ers and Carmen Policy. And they had had enough, more trouble than he's worth, and they traded him to the up-and-coming biggest threat to the 49ers of, at that point, Steve Young.
Right.
And here came the Cowboys, because they finally had somebody you could not block coming off the edge.
I'm not so sure the Cowboys might have been the only locker room that could handle him.
Okay, you could be right. And, you know, Jimmy contributed to that, and Michael Irvin contributed to that, and finally even Barry Switzer, where he just connected with Charles. But the point was, that worked. And Jerry's fingerprints were all over that move, because he's a plunger. He's a salesman. He can figure things out. But that wasn't really a football analysis move. He didn't have to decide Charles A was good. He just, everybody knew Charles A was good,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so last night it struck me that this man has gone completely over the edge into egomania.
Right.
Did you see the footage of him walking out to the first open practice where they filled their little stands? I think they hold like 12,000 people there at the Star, indoors, but they packed the stands, and you could see Jerry, Stephen, and Jerry Jr. They're becoming chips off the old block. They're going to be hard to handle also, because they're just going to slowly take over from Dad, right? So the three of them are walking out into the crowd, and boy, we got a full house. We got a great crowd. And Jerry walks out, and they are chanting, Jerry, Jerry. And I'm thinking, Springer? No, Jones. It's Jerry Jones they're chanting for.
He loved it.
He's just eating it up. He's basking. You can just see him. He's just basking. They're chanting my name. And it made me hark back to that moment that I first met him, that night in 1989, the Saturday.